Hey everybody, Cindy Daychuck of Queen Bee Creations. I am back finally. Sorry about the break. Life. Um, but I'm back to finish off this chair. Now, looks a little different than the last time you saw it. So we had together done 2 coats of paint on the fabric. Wasn't sure at that time whether or not I'd need a third. I needed a third. It looked pretty good, but there were just some spots where if you looked sideways or you looked at an angle, you could kind of see a bit of the caramel color coming through. So I went ahead and sanded down after the second coat, did the third coat, sanded it again, so it's pretty nice and smooth. And trust me, you'll feel the difference. You'll feel the fabric when it's been painted and dried, and then when you do your light sanding, you will feel the difference on the fabric. So you'll know where you need to, you'll know where you need to. It's my husband turning on to watch me live from the room that I'm doing the live. So you'll feel the difference when you're standing, and you'll be able to smooth it out. Now, I then painted the wood, and we were using, if you recall, we were trialing a new paint for me, not new for everybody else, called Chic, which is an all-in-one paint. I have used 2 other all-in-one brands before, and one is Heirloom Traditions, which is available in the States. It's a great product, but it is just horrendously expensive to be able to ship up here and then pay duty on, and then pay the exchange rate. So it just becomes crazy nuts expensive. There is a paint here in Canada called Fusion Mineral Paint, which is also available in the States, I believe, which I have used many times. But I also found this new paint, Country Chic, also Canadian, wanted to give it a try. And on this piece, it kind of feels somewhat, in my mind, similar to Fusion Mineral. It feels a little bit chalky as a finish. Now, you could leave it as is, but I have to tell you, I love the feel of waxed pieces. Not everybody does. But my favorite is taking chalk paint or the DIY paint, sanding them smooth, and then coating them in wax and buffing, and you get this buttery feeling. I love touching furniture like that. This doesn't excite me. So we're gonna wax it. I also wasn't sure, because there was a bit of a nap or a pile on this particular fabric, unlike the flat fabrics that I've painted in the past, whether or not I would wax it. I don't think it needs it because we use that all-in-one paint, but I'm going to wax it, mostly because, again, the feel. So I think that the chair could be done at this stage. So if you wanted, you could be done. I don't think that this is going to, the blue is going to bleed out. I haven't tested it, but I don't think it would. The white is fine, it's been sealed, but now it's just purely textural and kind of the look and the aesthetics of it. So now we're just going with my preference rather than a need. So y'all decide what you want to do. For me, I want to do this. Also, for you, it at least gives me the opportunity to show you, if you were waxing your fabric because you were using just a clay-based paint, or you know, a chalk paint, something that wasn't self-sealing, what you would do, right? So I'm actually going to be using 2 different wax brushes, only because I want to make sure that as I'm applying the wax, I'm actually not reactivating anything. So I don't want to get the blue on the white and vice versa. So I'm going to be using, because I have it and it's easily accessible for me, I'm going to be using any Sloan's clear wax for both elements. Now you're going to treat this a little bit differently. When we're doing, and this is a Paint Pixie wax brush. This is a no-name wax brush. This one I think I got at Home Depot, so kind of no-name, whatever. But it's big, which is what I want for the fabric. I don't want to be using this little dinky wax brush. I would be here until I was 70. So I want to use a bigger wax brush. What I am looking at doing is applying it slightly differently. When I'm applying the wax to the wood, I don't care how much wax I have on my brush. I am just going to push it on, move it around on the wood. It's going to glide nice and easily. I'm going to slide that all over the whole piece and just kind of get the wax on everywhere. And I like to let it sit for a couple of minutes. Okay, so we'll just let that wax kind of sit on there, let it sink in a little bit, just kind of smooths it out. And then I will take a lint-free cloth, so just old t-shirt fabric. And as much as I will cut up old t-shirts and use them, I do, when I'm using white, like to use white just in case it is leaving any kind of little fabric pieces back. But then I'm just going to wipe the wood where I've applied the wax and just take off any excess. And then I will leave it to dry. Already this feels nicer. So this is purely a me thing, just in terms of the textural feel, but it feels nicer. This will pick up any last little bit, and then I'll let it dry overnight, and tomorrow I'll take a new clean lint cloth and I will buff it. So I'll just kind of buff that wax up a little bit smoother. So once it's dried, I just don't want to leave the excess on. If you leave the excess wax on there and then let it dry and then go to buff it, it gets blotchy. It doesn't go as nice and as smooth. So take the excess off. Now, when we're waxing the fabric, we do care about how much we get onto the brush. We don't want big clumps of the wax in here. And I'm not going to be just wiping it on up and down. I am going to have to apply it in a bit of a circular motion, because much the same as with the paint, we watered down the paint so that we could really push it down into those fibers. We're going to have to do the same with the wax. We don't want a layer of wax just sitting on top of the fabric. We want to get the wax down into the fabric. So we want it to kind of set up in there, become one with the fabric. So I take much, much less, and I tend to take just a paper plate or a foam plate, and I just kind of rub my brush on there. So in essence, I'm kind of pushing the wax down into it, so that when I go to apply it to my fabric, and you can see I'm kind of pushing it down into the pile. Looks like work, right? But I am making sure that I'm getting it down in. Okay? So just a bit of a circular motion. I can feel the difference where I've applied it. It actually kind of softens my fabric out. It makes it a lot nicer feeling. And that's the difference, is that I don't think, because we use the all-in-one, that we need to use the wax for protection, although it doesn't hurt. But it is going to make a textural difference to the fabric itself. It's going to make it softer. Once the wax is dry, it is not going to come off on your pants or anything like that. Much the same as if you sat on top of your wax dresser. It's going to be the same. It's going to seal. It's going to harden. You're not going to have issues with it on clothing in any way. But it is just another layer of protection. It is going to kind of seal that up. and you can't feel the difference, but I can feel the difference. So it's actually going to kind of finish your piece off better, I think, than without it. And really, if you've gone out to all the trouble of painting this anyway, why not? You know, why not just go that extra little bit, seal it up, make that textural difference. It's going to be much nicer. Now, you can see it doesn't make much of a color shift. It doesn't make a difference to the color of the fabric at all. This is going to look the same, but already huge difference. Yes, I will post on the website the piece before we ever did anything to it, so in all of its kind of taupey caramel glory, and this finished look with this periwinkle, this hand mixed periwinkle that we did with a contrasting white. But yeah, I'm loving it. Again, 3 coats of the paint for the seat and 3 coats for the white. I don't think that that's indicative of the paint itself, meaning, oh, Country Chic always needs that many coats. I think it's just indicative of white. And really, quite honestly, I think I'd be using just virtually almost any line of paints white. And to get that smooth coverage, over a dark wood, usually you end up having to do more coats of the really light colors, like a white, as opposed to a dark color. So if I had been doing the reverse and doing dark. But I do think I want to try a side-by-side comparison of Fusion Mineral Paint and of Country Chic. So I think I will be doing that in the next little while, because I do have white from both of the paint lines, so we can compare the two side by side and get a better idea of feel and those kinds of things. So I'll grab an old hunk of wood from the garage, and we'll get together and we'll do that together to just kind of check it out, you know, the inquiring mind syndrome. See if there's a difference between the two. And really, for me, I don't have a need to use both. So I want to check it out. I want to see which one going forward would do the job for me, that would serve me. Because again, there are times that I want to use an all-in-one paint. There are times that, no, I'm going to be using a chalk paint, or I'm going to be using my DIY clay paint. It really depends upon the finish that I'm after. So having found the two that are both relatively accessible for me, I'm going to do the comparison so that I can see which one suits my needs better, and I might as well share it with you. I'm going to carry on doing my waxing, both of the white and of the fabric, and when I'm done, I'll take a quick pic, put it up side by side. But in essence, this project is done, and overall it turned out quite nice. So the experiment with the deeper pile, no problem. Took the paint really well, even with sanding it down, and it's taking it well with taking the wax really well. So I haven't done a velvet or something like that, which much deeper pile. Not sure how that would go. Think I'd probably start with a footstool just so that I'm not messing up a much bigger piece. But it would be an interesting experiment. Hope that you give this a try. I just bear in mind, you're not really painting the fabric so much as staining it. So the key is watering it down. Take a look at the steps in the video. Follow along with that. Or go to the website and take a look at the daisy chair step-by-step that I've written up for you. The website is queenbeecreations1.com, so you can take a look at the article there, follow along with these videos, but give it a try. I think that it's going to be a lot of fun, and if you are challenged in sewing and reupholstering things, then as long as your fabric's in pretty good shape, there's no need. You can do a lot of painting, and you could tape off, you could stencil on this, you could, as I did with the daisy chair, hand paint some daisies all over it. Whatever makes sense. This one, just because of the look of it, really just needed to be kind of simple. and it already had the patterning of those, of kind of that grid and the squares coming through, which I think is awesome. So thanks for following along. Let me know if you give this a try. If you've got any other questions, more than happy to help you out. See you next time. Take care.